Advice for new and returning player. Honkai Impact 3rd is a veteran and enjoyable 3D action RPG game from Hoyoverse. The game has been around for roughly 8 years and has 5 servers: CN, C, EU, US, KR, and JP. Currently, the game has entered its Part 2, which introduces new mechanics to enhance the gameplay experience. Despite its long lifespan and a player base consisting mostly of veterans, there's still a steady influx of new and returning players. As a longtime player, I'd like to offer some advice for newcomers and returning player, hoping it will be at least somewhat helpful. Feel free to leave comments if you have any questions or additional insights. 1. Don't hoard newbie or returning player quests. These quests have a limited time frame, so letting them expire means missing out on free rewards. The rewards from the new player quests are particularly generous, so it's highly recommended to clear them as soon as possible to maximize your gains. 2. Don't using crystals on dorm supply. The dorm supply is a permanent banner with a large pool of characters. New players might think it's a good investment due to the lower crystal cost per pull. However, very few characters in this banner are still meta or actively used. If you're going to pull on it, only use dorm supply tickets. The free ones are those obtained without spending crystals. It's much better to save your crystals for rate-up banners featuring more relevant Valkyries. 3. Pulling characters. Playstyle matters. Key things to know about this game's gacha system. There's no off rate, and no soft pity. Banners have a pity counter that guarantees a drop. Not every banner. 3.1 If you're pulling based on waifu, husbando preference, pulling for love, feel free to pull based on your favorites. You can choose to pull only the character and skip their signature weapon if you're happy with that. It's all about personal preference. 3.2 If you prioritize meta and competitive play, you should aim to get the character and their signature weapon and stigmata set at a minimum for every relevant Valkyrie. Having a wide roster of characters is generally better than focusing on ranking up only a few, as the endgame often requires team rotations and different setups for each cycle. One team won't clear everything. 3.3 If you prioritize meta but are on a budget, you can consider pulling every other patch. But you should still aim for the character and their signature weapon and stigmata set. Focusing on getting the complete set, character plus signature gear, every other patch will provide a better gameplay experience than having many characters without gear. The early game might be a bit tougher, but over time, you'll accumulate a decent roster, making the game more comfortable to play even as a free-to-play player. 4. Focus on pulling Part 2 banners. For players prioritizing meta, it's recommended to pull for the new characters introduced each patch or those with the Astral Ring mechanic, Part 2 characters. Older characters without the Astral Ring are generally not worth pulling for. Besides being potentially off-meta, fully gearing them is also more expensive than gearing characters with the Astral Ring. For example, fully gearing a non-Astral Ring character with bad luck on pulls could cost around 300 pulls, 100 for the character, 50 for the weapon, and 150 for 3 stigmata pieces. In contrast, fully gearing a Astral Ring character with bad luck might cost around 150 pulls, 90 for the character, 60 for the weapon, and craftable stigmata. Additionally, teams built around Stellar Ring characters tend to be more flexible and adaptable. 5. Play regularly. It's important to log in and play consistently to familiarize yourself with the game's mechanics and understand the daily routine. This will help you identify which modes to prioritize playing regularly. Besides learning the game systems, consistent play also rewards you with crystals from daily missions. In addition to daily quests, there are several other sources of crystal income. One of the main ones being endgame content includes Superstring Dimension, Abyss, Memorial Arena, Elysian Realm. You should aim to participate in these modes as much as you can handle to accumulate crystals steadily, as endgame content is a primary source of this valuable currency. For example, maintaining Red Lotus in the Abyss and clearing Elysian Realm at difficulty 2.25 can net you a total of 1500 crystals per week from just these two modes. 6. Prioritize time-limited content. Like many other games, Honkai Impact 3rd has permanent content, such as the main story, and time-limited events, like patch-specific activities. As the name suggests, time-limited events have an expiration date, so you should prioritize playing them to claim the rewards before they're gone. While these events might not offer as many crystals as endgame content, they still provide valuable resources for upgrading your characters and weapons, so it's worth participating in them. 7. Find a Sensei, mentor, for generous crystal rewards. Players below level 80 are highly encouraged to find a Sensei. The Sensei Cadet system is designed to help players learn the game's mechanics beyond the newbie or returning player quests, and the rewards for cadets are quite substantial, especially the crystal payouts. 8. Team composition. The optimal team composition in this game is generally 1 DPS and 2 supports. Pick the character you want to play as your DPS and then add 2 supporting characters. For example, if you want to play HOFI, a good team would be HOFI, DPS, HOO, support, and HOTR, support. Healing isn't that crucial in this game. The focus is on dealing damage to the boss quickly. For the newer characters with the Astral Ring mechanic, Part 2, the team composition is similar, 1 DPS and 2 supports. However, you should aim for all 3 characters to utilize the same Astral Ring. If you want to use a specific character's Astral Ring, make them the team leader, place them in the first slot. Then, choose 2 other characters with the same Astral Ring to complete the team, allowing all 3 to benefit from it. For instance, if you want to play a Senadina team with the World Star Astral Ring, a possible team would be Senadina, DPS, Thelema, Support, and Lantern. Support, Thelema and Lantern can support's World Star Astral Ring. If you only have 2 characters with the same Astral Ring, you can include a character with the Rite of Oblivion Astral Ring, as this ring can support other Astral Rings. For example, if you're building a Senadina team and don't have Lantern, you could use Coralie instead. Coralie is the free Valkyrie with the Rite of Oblivion Astral Ring. 9. Is it worth pulling for AstralOp elves? For budget-conscious players who aren't focused on hardcore competitive play, pulling for AstralOp and elves isn't necessary. They can be expensive additions to a team compared to their overall impact for casual players. The investment is high, but the noticeable improvement might be minimal. However, for players aiming for top rankings in competitive modes like Abyss, pulling for specific AstralOps and elves is worthwhile. In Abyss, even a small score difference can be crucial and determine whether you stay in or fall out of the top ranks on the server. 10. Story progression guidance. For players who want the full immersive experience and to understand the lore thoroughly, it's recommended to start from Part 1 Chapter 1. This will help you grasp the game's world and get to know the various characters. However, if you find the early story chapters tedious or unengaging, you can jump directly to the Part 2 storyline once you reach level 30. 11. Is the game free-to-play viable? Based on my personal experience as a player who has been almost exclusively free-to-play, I can confidently say that this game is F2P friendly and you can definitely survive without spending. Free-to-play players can comfortably manage in the lower tiers of Superstring Dimension. Reaching Red Lotus is also achievable, but it requires a significant amount of time to hone your skills and accumulate characters and resources. Progression will naturally be slower compared to those who spend money. Not having every single character will certainly put you at a disadvantage. However, where free-to-play players can compete with paying players is in terms of skill. For example, in the same team composition, a free-to-play player who puts in more effort and has better gameplay execution can potentially achieve a higher score than a paying player. Summary of advice for new, returning players. 1. Don't let newbie and returning player quests expire due to their limited duration. 2. Don't using crystals on the dorm supply as it's not a cost-effective way to get useful characters. 3. Character pulling strategy depends on your preference. Pull for favorites or prioritize meta. 4. If you prioritize meta, focus on pulling from Part 2 banners. 5. Play regularly to understand the game's flow and daily tasks. 6. Prioritize playing time-limited events to secure valuable rewards. 7. If your captain level is below 80, find a Sensei for beneficial rewards. 8. Team composition generally revolves around 1 DPS and 2 supports. 9. Pulling for AstralOp elves isn't necessary if you're not aiming for top competitive ranks. 10. You can start the story from Part 1 Chapter 1 for full immersion or jump to Part 2 once you reach Captain level 30. 11. The game is free-to-play friendly, but reaching higher competitive tiers requires time and dedication. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to like and subscribe. Feel free to leave any questions or suggestions in the comments.